If he doesn't make it tonight, I'll be more
He's very excited.
Okay, yes.
One more time. I thought so, so I'm pretty sure that she. You good?
Yes, sir. With
So I can.
documents, yeah, I'll take it over. Like, two of them fell out, so.
Big old step on there.
So it looked like you're watching. I got judged. Did you pick it up?
Really, what he didn't say is that
Yeah, that's good.
Alex, wait too much to do that. I have a heart attack. Hey.
My calendar, that's it.
You gotta turn around.
Okay, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. Call this meeting to order. Sorry that we're getting started a few minutes late. Behind. Glad to be here, glad to get things started. And we begin each of our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. But first, before we do that, I just want to say welcome back, Deborah, Ms. Harris.
Thank you.
So you're missed while you were doing it, so nice to have you back. All right, let's stand and say our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We start our board meetings by reading the mission and vision statement, our 3 R's, and an invocation. So mission and vision statement. High Point Academy's mission is cultivating lifelong learners in a student-centered environment. High Point Academy's vision is to be an exemplary school of choice for academically minded families.
At High Point Academy, we practice the 3 R's. Rights, the right to a quality education, the right to a safe environment, the right to reach my potential. Respect, I will respect my classmates, I will respect my teachers, I will respect myself. Responsibility, I am responsible for my education. I am responsible for my actions. I am responsible for my opportunities.
Jim Joe?
If you all will, please will pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this day that you've given us. Lord, we thank you for this season of faithfulness that we are in and the season of peace and hope that we're headed into. Lord, we ask that you be with us tonight, be with our students, our faculty, our staff over these next few weeks as we finish up the semester, or be with our families over the winter holidays. Give them peace and comfort and joy as we head into the new year. All is in your name we pray. Amen.
Okay, board members, time to look over the meeting agenda. There are no comments. I'd like to ask we approve tonight's meeting agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion.
And Joe?
Second.
And second, Derek. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Joe, were there any public comments? People sign?
There were no public comments the last time I checked. The last few folks that came in, they had signed in, wanted to speak. Nope.
Okay, student spotlight, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lancaster, you're up first, sir.
Tonight, we are gonna recognize the girls that participated in our Girls on the Run program. We had a Girls on the Run team a couple years ago, and Ms. Wagner headed it up, and then when she moved, we had a year without the program, but fortunately this year, Ms. Wilson and Ms. Everett started it back up for us, so we were glad to have some girls participate in that. So in November, they competed in their 5K. So the program, they start at the beginning of the year, they train a couple times a week, and then culminates with a 5K in November. So girls, I'm gonna call your name, and if you're here, you'll come up and we'll give you your certificates. We had Aubrey Taylor, Harper Sullivan, Keegan Sanders, Diana Shalinsky, and Liana Shalinsky, Lauren Mack, Addison Horning, Zoe Hernandez, Chloe Elias, Taylor Creel, and Adelie Cantrell. Good job, girls. Proud of you.
In middle school, we want to spotlight a student who, if you've not met the student, is one of the most incredible kids that I've ever had the pleasure of working with in 25 years of this journey. This student was the only middle school student this year to get a major role in the play Alice in Wonderland. He also played a major part in our Veterans Day program, and every time you're around him, you just can't help but smile. He's just an all-around awesome kid. And this spotlight goes to Mr. Andrew Howell.
It's just so everyone will know, Alice was so good, we have entered it into a competition, and we will go perform next year the same play. And I think we have a chance to win the competition. It was, and anybody see the play, Alice? It was fantastic, and Mr. Howell, excellent job, wonderful program.
All right, I am very proud to be able to recognize a couple of our outstanding students at the high school. The young lady that I'm about to recognize, in my opinion, is the epitome of a Grizzly. She is great in her athletics. She's great in her academics. She's a great leader in our school, and I'm really proud of her. So we're recognizing this young lady tonight because she, based on her academic and athletic achievement, has received the High School Heisman Scholarship Award that Wendy's puts out. In order to receive this award, you have to have a 3.0 or higher GPA. You have to be a leader, role model in your school and community. And you have to play in a sport that is recognized by the International Olympic Committee in the summer or winter Olympic Games. And this young lady, like I said, is the epitome of what a Heisman is. So we're unsure how much her scholarship will be, but students who receive this award at the state level have received $1,000 scholarships in the past. Olivia Martin, congratulations. If you come forward, I'd like to present you with an award. Second student I'd like to recognize, and I'm going to let Ishmael come up here. Ishmael Gonzalez, if you will come forth. Ishmael's being recognized because of his artistic ability. As you look on the screen there, you'll see the card that he developed. His card was chosen as our Christmas card of the year for High Point Academy. So big round of applause for him. The reason I called him up here is I didn't see, there's the official card, okay? All right, so I'll leave you with a copy of your own card there, all right? And a reward from our school and a certificate, all right? Real proud of
Parents and members of the public, you're welcome to stay around for the rest of the board meeting. Feel warmly invited. Or you may leave now.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, I extra appreciate it. I couldn't get it. It's not on the Facebook. Yes, sir.
Yes, and I have it in my car.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Okay, board members. Next thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Did anyone have any changes from those minutes? Let Jenny do it here. If there are none, can I have a motion that we approve those minutes as presented? Paul, thank you. Is there a second? Alex? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, David, October financial report. Thank you for being here, Dave T. from Prestige. Thank you. Is this the first month you all get your own little cards at your tables that say, is this new for you? No? I just woke up, I guess.
It wasn't big.
Some good stuff.
Announcements first. No, there. That's working.
Yeah, Joe's got this.
Yeah, that was a $9,990 check. We spent most of it.
Personalized.
Not even serious words.
That's way over there. Try the second port on hers, Bill.
Okay. While you guys are working on, I knew as soon as I started saying something, let's move on to something else.
Alright, so these are the financial statements through October 31st. 66%, 66.6% remaining is the kind of number you want to see overall. You'll notice that there are now 5 columns. The first column being the actual to date from July 1st through October 31st for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. The original budget, and then now there's a revised budget column, and then the remaining budget and percent remainings are reflected of that revised budget column. And so, because there's a revised budget, well, 2 reasons why. There was not that much like weird stuff on the October month by itself. It was basically trending the same as August, September, October. So the actuals, there wasn't that much to talk about. We also have the third column, so let's just talk about that since we're at it. And I'll just go over the bigger lines here. The first one though, and the biggest reason for it, I'm gonna skip down, is just there was a decrease in enrollment rate compared to the projected enrollment. So the original budget was based off of 1,330 students in seats, and the 45-day count came in at 1,250. And right now it was like at 1,240-ish. So this revised budget is based off of 1,240. The idea that a lot of times schools, you tend to decrease enrollment in 45 to 135-day counts, which is when the final funding is based off of. That's not always the case. There are other scenarios where they increase in the 45 to 135-day count. So if you were to increase enrollments, that could possibly go back up. But it is the average field membership. So it would have to go up a lot to get the average to go up from that. But that is a drop of like close to $900,000. So that's the main reason for having to make all these budget adjustments. So going back to the top, on the revenue side, besides that decrease for enrollment, there were some small changes on the local sides. First, increase the interest income for $30,000 based off the year-to-date stuff. The interest rate for, America's going up, so that's good. Also, well, good for y'all, bad for me. And then also, they moved $2 million, was it, to an investment account in the last week or so. So that's to account for that as well. But even without that, you're already at $12,000 through October 31st. So that's probably good. On the other side, you can see the student store is almost at $85,000, which was the original budget. We're pretty conservative on the
local revenues to start with, so that's an increase to $215,000. The bigger increase on the revenue side, was that we went ahead and added the federal funds in the budget that are to be paying for salaries. So the salaries are already in the expenses, but we didn't want to just put the federal revenues in there. So again, kind of be conservative. You wanted to show that you can survive without the federal funds normally. But they are in the expenses. They're going to be spent. So you can get the revenues for them. So there's no reason necessarily to put them in there. So that's, if you look at that, $400,000 compared to $72,000. That was an increase of about $250,000. We already had put $200,000 of ESSER 3 salaries in there. Some of those ain't be that much, but after going through accounting quickly, that's the total for salaries and federal funds. $752. All right. Any questions on the revenues before I jump to the expenses? On the expenses, so we're looking at the summaries by category from the state funding manual instruction, like kindergarten, primary, elementary. The difference between primary was 508 to 801, and elementary 280 to 263. It's just a movement more so than a cut anyway. There are people in the original budget that were indicated as elementary in the budget that were actually primary and first and second grade teachers. So we moved them to where they should actually be classified under the actions as well. So we're at the 66% remaining that you kind of want to see because all the actuals and budgets are in their proper place with this revision. The learning disabilities in a similar way, it looks like it has increased, but a lot of that is moving this psychological services, consolidating it into the learning disabled section, basically, so it's not out on its own. Across all the lines, just sort of before I scroll down any further, all these expense lines, we had like $150,000 kind of buffer, basically putting the insurance for new employees in case we decide to partake into insurance. And then we reconciled all that as of the most recent bill, updated everyone based on what their coverages are this year, and that was $100,000 worth of savings, basically, that's been put in here, so as a revised actual. So that's partially where a big component of those dollars came from the drop in enrollment. The biggest, or one of the bigger ones, is under operation of maintenance and plant at the 1.1 million, and now we're at 99. There was a contract, I think, last year for cleaning services of, we budgeted $270,000, and this year, instead of using that contract, just more custodians were hired. So that was a big help in regards to the bottom line as well, of over $200,000 savings, basically.
David,
Yeah.
on after school care, that was decreased by about 80,000 on page 3.
Yeah.
Is it, did we cut out a service or something? How did we do that?
No, the original budget was basically just to conserve, it was based off trends from last. So looked at every payroll so far, and it was averaging about $3,750 per payroll, and this is budgeting $4,000 per payroll, just even being more conservative. So it's more just an over the budget. And there's still some buffer in there in case there are additional persons you need to save. But yeah, that was the other bigger ones. I think that those were most of the bigger items. We did take, and this is in the detail version again, $10,000 out from the like bond fees, like bond fees to report for the DAC and the trustee and whatnot. Which the original was $20,000, $3,000 was in the DAC already for this year, but it hasn't been at $20,000 since the beginning of the bond. It's been around $10,000, so that's been true up as well. So adding those federal funds for their salaries, again, the insurance thing, a little bit of the after school, all of it basically brought you back up to 291 in the black. And if we look at all those expense line summaries, they are at, most of them at or above 66%. The ones that aren't are a lot to do with other federal funds that are supplies expenses. We have the revenues, we have the expenses are in for the salaries, but the supplies aren't. But also the supplies revenues aren't in this revised side either until they're perfectly approved to go for. So the budget is in the black, still 291. The actual year to date is in the red, $305,000. And again, you're going to see this trend where it's going to be probably in the red until maybe February, whenever some federal reimbursements come in, which should hopefully be faster this year than in the future based on the closed missions and the district having more staff generally. The $291,000 would be a 1.13 debt service cover ratio year ending June 30th, 2023. Again, being at or above 1.1 is the goal to be in compliance. One other thing on the balance sheet, we were talking about in the finance meeting was to $2 million of these dollars was moved, I guess at the end of November, to an investment account. So if it happens at the end of November, then it would be on the balance sheet in November. You'll see another account listed here in the cash funds. All right. Any questions on the expenses or in general?
Questions from any of the board members? Anne Marie, do we need to vote or revise budget tonight? Is that what you're asking us to do?
Yep.
So board members, we are being asked to vote to approve the revised budget with an enrollment number of 1240 is what you said.
Yeah.
Any discussion on that? Questions or anything for Anne Marie or for David?
Well, we have, I know in the past, like changing semester, sometimes you'll add students or bring in on waiting list. Are you expecting anything like that?
Yes, I think we've added about 16 already for next semester, but we do stand a chance of losing a few more as well. So that's, I think, where we got to that 1240 number.
We often lose a few over Christmas break.
So we'll gain some, lose some. We feel like we'll be at that 1240 number. Deborah got 9 the other day.
Yeah.
Good
That's
job,
up to
Deborah.
them.
She came back rested and ready to get.
Yeah, recruited too.
Other questions? You ready for us to approve that, Amber? Gonna make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised budget.
Amber's made a motion. Tika, you're seconding. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Are you done?
Yeah, the only meeting executive session.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
So that was B and C that we just covered, by the way. All right, Brian, would you be willing to tell us about the Appalachian region Commission grant.
I'll be more than glad to. Katie's gonna pull it up in just a second. All right, so the grant was for $249,859.50. Let's not forget the 50 cents. This was through an Appalachian Regional, grant, with Clemson University. And basically, this is a grant that works on soft skills. And so the budget is there. The budget doesn't 100% add up because we had to add a little money and Clemson had to add a little money. But that's a pretty good breakdown of where the money is going. At this time, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, we've received $160,000 from the grant. 155 and change. And I signed off on, I think, about 146. There was like a $130,000 bill and a $15,000 bill. So I think we have about 10,000 left in the account still from this grant. I just sent you a sheet. If Katie wants to go to the next page. The program purpose is students will participate in interactive, engaging sessions, develop workplace skills, build relationships, and increase their applied knowledge. This started back at the very beginning of the year when Clemson came in and they did some staff building with our teachers. They spent a couple days with Mr. Mahaffey and his team. And Mr. Mahaffey, you want to comment on that real quick?
Yes, I feel like our students have accomplished a lot through this program. We had a career fair, which was a culmination of everything that they learned in their CTE programs. And I was able to interview about 7 of our students myself. Was really impressed with the things that they had to say, the way they interviewed, the resumes that they turned over to me, and learned some special things about some of our kids. And the people from the community who came in to interview, some of them were really impressed with the way they handled themselves. So I think they've gained a good education with the soft skills here. And now I'm going to be in communication with Clemson about putting in a low ropes course here back behind the school so that we can continue to teach those soft skills through a ropes course. So that's how we plan to maintain this.
Mr. Mahaffey was certified as a ropes instructor when he was at Swafford. And we can bring in businesses and take them through the low ropes course as an outreach.
Yeah, I did that for 12 years, and it's a great way, if it's handled properly, to teach soft skills, and you can make some money on the side. So,
the sheet I gave you, this is just pretty quickly, you can look. They did leadership skill readiness. That was their first session. Then they did something called True Colors, which is they learned about their personality and their communication style. Then they did some resilient skills for stress and time management. Then they did some Strength Finder. We did the Strengths Finder for our faculty, some of the board members. How many of the board members did the Strengths Finder? A couple of the board members did the Strengths Finder. Then they did a session on mastering conflict, emerging leaders, and it culminated last week, as Mr. Mahaffey said, in their community job fair where they had to write a resume, come in and do an interview. We had probably 15 or 20 people from outside who came in and interviewed our students and worked with us. So it was great outreach to the community, and it was wonderful for our kids. Now, the good part about this is Clemson University has a data partnership with us. I have met their statistician at Clemson. He's going to use our data room and the scores that we have, look at the scores of the kids that were in the program, and try to determine if we had the same growth or more growth out of these students. So they're going to be working with us in the data room, and hopefully we'll learn some things from Clemson and their statistician on how we can better use our own data room to do some things and to check things like that. So that is yet to come. We still are map testing. Once we map test and we look at all these scores, Clemson will come in. We're going to do this again next semester, so we'll have 2 shots at this to have them do that. So when we were approached with this grant, one of the reasons they wanted us to do it is because we were already tracking student data, and we had an up on a lot of people, and that's why they chose us. And it has been wonderful for us. I think our teachers have benefited. I think the training for our teachers and the camaraderie and all the team building skills that the teachers used. Mr. Mahaffey, you correct me, but I think it's beneficial to your school.
Yeah, one of the best PDs we've had as far as teacher input and as far as their excitement during the PD was the first one of the year with these folks where we basically did true colors. And I was unable to be in there for the whole period, but teachers came out of there excited, you know, saying that we feel like a family, we're working together, you know, and doing the team building that these folks did with their staff. And we continue to do the goal focus communication with our kids, you know, helping them to set a goal. And the whole idea behind this with what Clemson has taught us is, you know, a lot of us set a goal for our kids, with our kids, and then we're lawnmower parents. So we just mow it down and, you know, here's how you do it. And so the whole idea behind the goal focused communication is help those students figure out what a good goal is for them and then just have checkpoints. Like, how you doing with your goal? Where do you see yourself on the continuum? And it was a 1 through 10 continuum. Well, what's your plans in order to reach that goal now? How are you going to improve yourself? Just allowing the kids to come up with their own ideas of how they're going to reach that goal and what are the procedures they're going to put in place to help reach that goal.
So since it's $250,000 coming in and we pay out to Clemson from the grant, and so it's important that we have board participation on knowing what's going on as well as how they're recording our minutes and so on. Mary Allison, what do we need to do? Oh, does anybody have any questions, first of all? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Do you have any questions for Mr. Sherman about the grant? Or Mr.
Is this something that we can apply for again next year as well, or are you just hoping to take what you've learned?
We could. The thing that I have seen in talking with my people is one of our guidance counselors has been heavily involved with this, worked a lot of hours on it, along with what Clemson's doing. And my discussion with her is we can probably do this ourselves now that we've seen them do it. So I've got to sit down with the superintendent and get his opinion on that. But yes, we could, but I don't know if we need to.
But you like what you've learned and want to implement and use it more.
I like what I see out of some of the instructors, okay? And that's kind of like when I was a ropes instructor, you'd have some instructors who had different personalities and how they relate to the kids and things. But for the most part, I like everything that I see. But I think our people might be able to carry this on. And like I say, I haven't discussed this with him. So he and I need to sit down and talk about it and how we're going to proceed in the future. But if we're able to put this ropes course in and we're able to properly train people, when that's done correctly, it's really good. So,
any other questions?
Thank you for having a buffer to think about this. I think you want to approve the grant and related invoices. So that way you're approving the receipt of the grant and then the invoices that you're paying.
One motion?
Yeah.
Is there a board member that would be willing to give the motion to that effect, approving the grant related invoices? Alex, thank you. Is there a second? Thanks, Derek. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Thank you. And now we're on the superintendent's report.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we'll start with our quote, and this one is thanks to Jenna Jo. I was talking to her the other day, and we were talking about, I was asking her something, saying something to her, and she said, I just want to do all I can to help the kids. And I thought, you know, one person's pursuit of excellence raises the standards of everyone. And as you strive, you make others great, and be that person today. That's a John Gordon quote. So he's written numerous books, but I just like that quote. One person in pursuit of excellence raises the standards of everyone around. So, are you going to be that person today? That's the question for all of us. All right, Katie. Real quick, Connie's up next. One of the things that we have been looking at, and Connie's been working with me since the beginning of the year, is when we realized our numbers were not going to be what we wanted them to be. we began working on a campaign that we're going to unleash in January. So Connie's gonna come up and talk to us about our communications and marketing plan. Connie?
Right, yes. Well, it will launch in January, and of course, our main focus will be the digital. It's the best way to get the best bang for our buck and reach a lot of people. That'll kick off in January with that big campaign. We'll use some of the videos that we did last year, and then we have some new ones that are in the works right now that will launch, on the internet. And then, of course, we're continuing our social media efforts and our Parent Square. And Joe will talk about online enrollment, which I think will really kind of up our game in the months ahead. And Google reviews, we talked a little bit about that. Now that everybody's on board with how important the Google reviews are. So hopefully starting at the beginning of the year, we'll be encouraging anybody like you all to go on and give us the reviews. I've noticed lately, we got a couple bad ones last week and I reported them because I think they might be spam. I think it's gonna be really important in the year ahead that we get that number. We're close to 4, we were at 3. My nephew asked me one day last week, and I'm like, I think we're at 3.8, we dropped to 3.7 after we got a couple of bad ones, but we can't, the importance of when people go online and see that Google rating. I feel like I've been heard finally, so hopefully we can move forward on that one and continue our customer experience, that journey, improving that at all times. We're gonna have an open house in February, sooner than we usually do, so hopefully we can lay hands on people and have them experience all the goodness here before it's too late. The lottery is done in March. And kind of talking in the key language that we need for everyone, just to remind them, I think, as the year starts. And improving things, even like the lottery, the letter that they received, making it kind of a big deal rather than just a letter that says you got in, but kind of like a certificate that we gave. Kind of it's a big deal to show that they got in. And then we'll do the coupon drop like we did last year. We had enough success with it that we're going to do 3 different zones, which will pretty much blanket Spartanburg for 2 months, and that's a drop of 30,000 in January and February. So it's got a QR code on there so we can track whether we actually, and we had several people last year who said they signed on because of the coupon. So it's a really minimal expense to use with good payoff. So even if we get one student, it's for itself. And then we'll continue, of course, all of the things that we're doing with like the 60 with the Super. Have you guys been watching the messaging? Okay, yes. So I'm hoping that if in January when we come back that he can say, hey, kind of that what we put in the newsletter before where we say you're the most important ambassadors we have. So maybe if he says it and we keep hitting them with that message, students, staff, newsletter. I think even the Lunch and Learn is a perfect time as we're reaching out to people, the Lunch and Learns for money, that we also remind them that we're looking for new students. And once they've had a good experience here, maybe they'll go and give us a great Google review, bring us new students, and give us money. So 3 for hopefully. And then of course we'll continue with our print. We're working on some new rack cards now so that each one of the schools will have, we flip to the next one. Each one of the schools will have their own rack cards so that they can give them out. Middle, high, we're still kind of in the works, so we're not ready to pass them out yet. We'll update the coupon, which is in the bottom left that you saw. And then we have little things like business cards. We have every opportunity for people to hand people things to go up to our website. On the back of that business card is which you guys have seen before, a QR code as well.
We will also, in all the neighborhoods within a 2-mile radius, we're gonna blanket them one Saturday. We're gonna pass out literature in all the neighborhoods of people who are closest to us. We have a couple neighborhoods very close by. We're gonna blanket them on Saturday. We're gonna pass out. We're also gonna do an open house in February. We are not gonna have a registration for returning students this year because there's no real need with the online. And we're gonna do something in February. We're working on that right now, but we're going to advertise. We'll show you how to help your child read. We'll show you how to help your child with math. And that will be for students who are here and people who just want to drop in and see what we're doing and get to know us. We'll have some people here from student government to give tours. We'll have teachers here. We want to make it a big deal, and we want to reach the people closest to us in that 2-mile radius. So we'll probably have some jumpy houses and some things for kids. And if Derek promised to stay off of them this time.
Can't make any promises.
But we have worked very hard. Connie's been working very hard on getting all this material ready to go. It will go out at the first of the year. It'll culminate with, it'll go out when we launch our Power School online registration, which Joe is going to go over for you in just a second. So we're not only trying to raise money, we're also working on the issue of getting students. Now, I do know after talking to all the other schools that I've talked to, across the board, charter schools lost about 10% this year of their students. You know, when we had COVID, we had a huge jump in enrollment, and as other schools have gone back to regular schools, we have lost a group of students across the state. Our loss is about 7%. Across the state, it's been about 10%. So every charter school that I have talked to is fighting this same issue that we're fighting. So we just got to stay in the battle and keep fighting. And thanks to Anne Marie and all the work that's gone into play with the budget the best we can to try to make it work and not look backwards, but continue to move forward. So that's where we are.
We do have 21 people on the list, and it only opened up on Thursday, and that was with absolutely not notifying anyone, so as of December 1st. And we get a couple every day, so the nice thing is we're getting people that are going online to sign up without any kind of advertising.
I've also targeted some young youth ministers and people I know in the community who have kids. And in January, they're going to send out a tweet for me to all their friends, and we're going to blanket all of Spartanburg with some of those people. And Connie, do you remember what you wrote? What that's going to say?
Oh, about the school?
This is a tweet that's going to go out to hundreds of people that I know who are sending it to people they know.
Oh, this tweet, it's probably longer than a tweet. I didn't realize what we were gonna do with it, so I think it was longer than a tweet.
It'll be all right.
But it was very similar, hang on, to our, sorry, I would have that ready if I know. I really wish it was more, impressive. It's not. It's probably not even worth the wait.
I think it's pretty impressive.
It really isn't, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, here it is. At High Point Academy, we believe in parent choice when it comes to your child's education. High Point Academy is a STEAM-focused, tuition-free public charter school. We serve students throughout the upstate from kindergarten through 12th grade. It is 3 schools on one campus located off Interstate 26 in Spartanburg. When you choose High Point Academy, you choose academics, athletics, fine arts, and a feeling of family. You have a choice. Choose excellence.
That is excellent.
Thank you. Was it worth the wait? I really should put my hands away, so try not to.
Connie, did we get any success from the radio spots that we ran?
Some, we could track that people, I don't know, maybe 60, where they would go through the website, but it was harder to track whether people filled out the applications or not. So I just felt like we got it, but it was always a long-term plan. It was just too expensive to keep, continue, because it's just harder to measure. So we did have a URL that was specifically for that.
Yeah.
It was impossible to track where people just said, oh, I need to go Google that, instead of going to that direct URL. So I think if we had more money, I think it would work it because of that target audience.
Just can't afford to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And they got to hear it 6 or 7 times before it takes root with them on the radio. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is something we're real excited about. And Joe, you're up.
It's a hard act to follow, but I'll try. The good news is it's only 3 slides, so it shouldn't take too awful long.
37 parts.
That's right. I didn't mean each slide's an hour long, but so online registration. We're excited about this. It's going to benefit in many facets, but one big key thing that our current families are going to love is not having to come in and fill out 14 packets. If you have 14 kids, and some families may have that many kids. Basically, the main purpose is to modernize and get kind of caught up with other schools, because most schools that we talk to are already doing online registration, and we've kind of been behind that. So we want to get caught up and just do the best that we can. You can go to the next slide. Key benefits of online enrollment. So cut costs to save time. So how are we going to cut costs to save time by spending money? It's going to free up administrators and other team members, because behind the scenes, what many people don't see is all those paper packets have to get converted into digital. So you have to try to read what the parent wrote on the paper and put that into PowerSchool 1 packet at a time, especially if it's new parents, new families. And that can be difficult and time consuming. And if you bring other people on to just for data entry, they don't necessarily understand, even though you tell them how important that data entry is. And so they're trying to get it done, and mistakes happen. You get an email wrong, you get a phone number wrong. That stuff can trickle down when you're trying to send communication out to parents, and the parents are upset because you're not communicating with them because you got bad data. So you spend all this money to have people come manually help you put this data in, and it gets put in wrong. So that all gets cut out because the parent literally puts the data in themselves. And so they're gonna make sure their information is correct because they want to get communication from the school. So ensure secure, reliable, accurate information, kind of already tied into that. With it being PowerSchool, we already know that the system is secure. They have to have a login in order to get into the system. So their data is safe and secure. Next slide. And increase student safety. Ensure your staff has the most up-to-date information. And so I already kind of talked about that, but if there's an emergency happen, you want to get a hold of that parent as quick as possible. And if you've got that bad data because you were trying to understand what they wrote on that paper and you can't read their writing, if you've ever read my writing, then you know what I'm talking about. So it just helps with all of that data entry.
And Judge, can't they go back, like if they change their cell number, they can go in and have us change it?
Yeah, so, well, that's one of the things that's built into the system. We're gonna be going through all the setup process between now and then. But there's things in there like address change. We'll have validations in process or in that process so that they can put in that they want to change their address, but we have to get it validated. We'll be like, hey, you need to upload a document that shows proof of residence. But if they change their phone number, well, that's fine. They can change their phone number because they're logging in securely to their account, so they can change it. Boom, it's automatically done. It syncs to Parent Square. It's all done. So you don't have to worry about double entry on data to multiple different systems. Is there one more slide? All right, so make it easier for families. Like I said already, you don't have to come into the school and fill out all those paper packets with the same information, repeated and repeated and repeated information. The good thing about the PowerSchool is that as they're entering that data, if they do have multiple students, or if they're a returning student, all that data is going to be pre-populated. They don't have to go, putting all this data in. They're just verifying it's correct and then moving on. If it's a new family and they have multiple children, any of that repeated stuff like addresses and phone numbers is just going to automatically carry over when they add their next child. So they don't have to sit there. It's going to save them a lot of time, not have to do all that. Then school choice and lottery. It also handles our lottery for us. Obviously, we have to set that up on the back end as we're doing that. But it will automate workflows for us. So, after the lottery is completed and someone can get offered a spot, and the system will send them hey, do you want a spot? There's a spot open for you. The parent can accept or decline. If they decline it, then they'll move on to the next person on the list automatically for you. In the past, what could happen is we get overwhelmed up in the office and get really busy, and you're trying to stay on top of that, but you could miss families. By the time you call the family and offer them a spot, they've already taken a spot somewhere else. And so with the system being automated, it's going to be on it and move on automatically to the next person. But it's good that we can run the reports too to see, did a family decline? What was the reason for that decline? And in the enrollment thing, there's it's called intent to return. And so with our intent to return feature, it's actually asks you a question. If they say that they're not coming back, it asks them, well, why are you not coming back? What could we have done better? It gives them an opportunity to give us feedback, and then we can take that and try to improve from there. And is it the last slide?
Hold on, before we do the last one, that's a little tutorial.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like about this is Joe's gonna set it up. When a spot frees up, before it goes to the parent, it goes to our principals. That way, if somebody who was thrown out of here, was asked not to come back, has signed back up, our principals will look at it before it is assigned. So we will prevent some of that from happening. Also, what happens in the summer is we keep trying to call people, we can't get a hold of them, we text them, or whatever, we can't get a hold of them. This thing, when it sends out, says you have 10 days to take your slot. If they don't sign up in that 10 days, we can move on to somebody else as opposed to staying here all summer calling people trying to get it. This is all done automatically. My principal can be on vacation and get an alert, this student wants to get in. Principal can click on his phone, on the phone, yes or no, and then it goes right back into the process, which makes it so much easier for us as opposed to people sitting here trying to call people all summer long and not being able to get a hold of people. And, well, we don't want to give up the slot. Somebody could be gone to Europe and we're trying for 10 days to call them, and we don't want to give up their slot. And by the time we do, as Joe said, they've already gone somewhere else. So that takes away a lot of these problems that we've been having.
And it also has, and I think we're gonna have a video that PowerSchool put together. But one of the features is it's going to automatically notify the team who's involved here. If it's applicable to them, it's going to notify them, hey, we have a new student, a new family coming in that has an IEP, they have a 504. All these people will be notified automatically, and they'll know ahead of time, so they can get prepared to serve that student and it not be the first day of school and be like, well, nobody told me that they had a 504, because the packet didn't get filled out properly or something, whatever the case may be. With the online, there's required fields that they have to fill out. And so it helps streamline all of that. So.
And I think it'll help people who want to come but can't make it to registration, they just don't do it. If they can do it online, we send them a tweet, we send them something, they get it, they go look at it, they go, I'm gonna go ahead and fill it out. And we'll catch a lot more people, I think, that way than waiting on it. So we're really excited. We want to quickly just go over, this is, the company that we're going is owned by PowerSchool, so this syncs with what we have. So Katie, let's show the video real quick.
Hello everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on PowerSchool enrollment. My name is Sarah Rhimes, and I'll be walking through the solution with you today. PowerSchool enrollment covers enrollment needs for public districts, private schools, charter schools, and international schools. And enrollment is just one part of the PowerSchool K-12 solution. As you can see here, enrollment lives with your student information system, making the process of enrolling new students and updating information from families seamless. Let's review our agenda for today. First, an overview of the topics we will be covering. Then we'll do a deeper dive into the solution and help to answer the question, why PowerSchool enrollment? And then we'll close with a summary. So let's get started. PowerSchool enrollment can offer solutions for every type of school. In today's demonstration, we will cover enrollment for districts, and specifically the core registration process. Today we'll be looking at three main areas. First, how the solution can collect clean and complete data from your families. Second, how the solution will be able to empower administrative efficiency. And we'll finish up looking at how the solution can really streamline your data flow. As a district, your goal is to have clean, complete data on day one for your students. You'll see with this student in the PowerSchool SIS, and this could be any student information system, not just PowerSchool, you'll see how you'll be able to collect information and have that flow to the student's demographic information, contact information for the student, and complete medical and emergency information. Now, why is this going to help your district? Well, first, it helps with funding. If you don't have all your students accounted for, then you won't be getting the funding allotted to your district. By making the process easier to have all these students accounted for, we're helping you get that necessary funding. Additionally, this can really help with your staffing needs by knowing who your students are and what needs they have. Maybe, for example, a student that might be coming with an IEP or a 504 plan, really helping set up your students for success. And lastly, taking a look at this from a parent perspective. As a parent, I would want to feel comfortable knowing my child is accounted for and my school has the most updated information, like emergency contact information, and knowing allergies or other medical data. So let's start with our first topic today, collecting clean and complete data. With your goal of having clean and complete data on day one of school, we will make this process easy for you to collect this information from families. So let's take a look at how we can do this. First, the forms we create for your family are mobile responsive. Your families will be able to access the forms they need anytime, anywhere. We're meeting your families with the technology they have. We can also make fields required, as you can see on this page of the form, and also have deep conditional logic built into the forms. So for example, it may make certain fields required or may hide fields based on how a family responds. This streamlines it for your families. It makes it very clear what needs to be collected, ensuring your team has collected all required data for enrollment. You can even collect additional information from families that doesn't necessarily have to flow back to your student information system. Maybe you want to find ways to boost PTA membership or foundation donation giving. These are just a few examples of ways to accomplish this through enrollment. We can also help consolidate handbooks and other user agreements that might right now be going home by paper. We can digitize them and present them in the enrollment solution for families to be able to complete. And being able to finish those forms with an electronic signature that is legally deemed as if it were a handwritten signature. When we think about our district's population, 90% of those students are returning students. How do we get them to participate in verifying information in this update process? We make it easy by providing pre-populated forms from the student information system data for your families to be able to verify and update the information you need them to change. No data flows into your SIS until it has gone through your administrative workflow. Your parents can even access through this form through their PowerSchool or eSchool Plus parent portal and through a link that could be sent to them. We just saw how we can collect clean and complete data by modern mobile responsive forms. Let's look at how we can empower administrative efficiency. For your administrative team, we make it easy for them to see the responses from within their workspace. Let's look at an example of returning students who need to verify information. From this workspace, you can easily see the view and at a glance which families have been notified of that annual information update but haven't even started. With the built-in tasks, you can automate communication to get those response rates higher and nudge families along to get to your goal of 100% participation. Once you've collected that registration information from families, we'll build you that customized administrative workspace where your team can easily view the data, send communications to families, and even print and download forms for long storage. And being able to use the customized tags really will help align with a complete registration form that will be ready to be delivered to your student information system as that final database of record. Now you can see from this example that this student has met the approval criteria and can now be approved and go to the next step in the process. Now we've seen how we can empower administrative efficiency with customized workflow tools. Let's look at the final area, streamlining the data flow to your student information system. You've collected all of this information from your families and you need it to flow into your SIS. The process we'll be looking at here is an API data delivery. This is what we use with all PowerSchool student information systems, PowerSchool SIS and eSchool Plus, as well as some other SIS systems. It's also worth noting that with other student information systems, we offer integration via a file-based integration. And if you have questions about your SIS and enrollment, please reach out to us for more information. In our example today, we'll be looking at an API delivery. Using that API, we can look at returning student information. Returning student delivery is very simple because we have a student number to match, and we can easily match that information from year to year. For a new student, we don't have that student ID, and we'll create that record and ID when it's delivered to the student information system. Our system will look for potential matches in the SIS, and we want to make sure your database stays clean. If it's a match, you'll be able to verify it's a match, merge the record, so you just have one record for that student. Now, we have two ways to initiate the delivery of data via the API. The first is a few clicks, where you can create a delivery badge anytime you would like. The other is no clicks, where your data can flow nightly to your student information system. Now, we just saw how we can streamline your data flow by securely and seamlessly delivering your data to your student information system. Now, you've seen a lot of robust functionality within this showcase. We have experts to help you succeed in this process. We're here to assist you. We will build out the solution for your team, and we start with a best practice configuration based on our 20 years of experience. Then we take a consultative implementation process where we'll work with you to customize the solution to meet your needs. After implementation, we offer various levels of service and support to meet your team's needs. In addition, we offer family support for your families. For example, if they have an issue submitting a form or need help in uploading a document, they can reach out to our team for that support. And we offer that support in both English and Spanish, really ensuring that we're here for you and your families. As a wrap up today, I want to note that we were discussing the core registration process for school districts like yourself. We also offer a school choice solution for districts that need that. Things like transfers, magnet schools, and programs of choice. And if you would like additional information on this solution, please feel free to reach out to our PowerSchool team. I'd like to thank you for your time today. I'd also like you to take 5 seconds to answer a few questions at the end of this showcase, and someone will reach out to you shortly to help with any questions you may have with PowerSchool. Thank you for your time.
I do want to note, for the language, they'll actually have in our, we'll have a little what we call a blurb in the application that's in Spanish and in Russian that says if you need help, how to reach out and get help. But in the intent to return and the actual registration, there'll be a world up in the top right-hand corner, and they can click that world, and it'll have those instructions at the top in multiple languages. But they click that world and change it from English to Spanish or Russian, and everything will be translated. That's one of the things we're working on. Everything will be translated, so they'll be able to understand all the different forms and what they actually say in Spanish or Russian.
So is that included on their profile as well? That way, if we want to communicate with them, we know what language preference they have.
Yeah, so that's separate from this, but inside of PowerSchool, they can set their preference, and that's one of the things for ELL is once that language is set, PowerSchool communication sent through PowerSchool is sent in their language.
Joe, does does it deal with stuff like pre-reduced?
So there are abilities to have whatever forms we need. We can collect things like that. And that would be something we just have to talk to Tammy, because I know there's July 1st after the deadline.
It has to be done after, it has to be done after July 1st.
Yeah,
That
so-
and any nursing forms, any
Yeah,
immunization upload.
We can add any of those types of forms. We can
We can
add
train our
those.
parents to go there as a one-stop shop.
Yeah. And you can, we don't have to use that, but in the in the registration part, that's actually another piece of that is we can collect, once it's all set up, registration fees. If you're going online doing online registration, well, how are you gonna collect the fees? Well, that's built in. That's one of the things we're setting up so that they can pay the registration fees online. And we can make it mandatory that you can't hit that submit until you pay that registration fee. So there's little steps like that you can build in. Yes, we can collect forms and Any of those forms, we can run reports for, see who's done it, send reminders, you can automate those reminders, be like, hey, haven't filled out this form. That actually, so my son is doing a virtual charter school, and they had to remind me like 4 times to fill out the form, oops. But hey, the 4th time I was like, okay, I better do this. So I went and did it. It was like 4 times in a matter of a 2-week period. So I know it works. So reminders.
Awesome. Any questions? Thank you, Joe.
And that'll be ready to go.
So we're shooting for the beginning of the year. That's the goal. So we're working behind the scenes on that.
Joe has had.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Joe has had several meetings with many people on our staff, ELL, special ed, the lunch ladies, Connie, everybody who we can put forms or questions, we can customize it how we want. And then all that will be downloaded and configured and set up for us. And then we can control it how we want to.
Will you still do something for your kindergartners?
Yes, we'll do something for our kindergartners and our first-time students, sometime probably late March, early April. We will eliminate the registration for returning students, and we will do something in February to try to attract students while the lottery is still going on. Just a little change in focus. But yes, we will definitely do something for kindergartners.
I think it'd be great, because I know when I came for registration and meet the teacher, being a person who's already been in this building, it was overwhelming on those nights. And so for our first-time students or kindergartners to have something still that's not quite so
Yeah.
crowded.
We're gonna do theirs separate
Yeah.
and do that for them. Gray has not set a date, but we'll figure that out and set a date. We're just trying to get you Christmas.
Yeah.
And Gray's got a deer hunt, so I can't really expect him to do too much.
Hey, look at the technology that's come out of Walmart self-checkout.
That's the end of the report.
Don't say anything negative about Ray Deer. I don't know that.
I didn't say it was negative, I just said I can't keep doing it.
You'd already requested that.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Connie.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Okay, we have executive session next, so can I have a motion that we go into executive session? Alex, thank you. Can I have a second? Second. Eduardo, welcome. Your first motion for the night.
I know, short.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Signal break.
I just-